Well, good morning, everyone. Can't believe we're starting. It is 9, we're not even 10 o'clock, Andy, and we're starting. Here, we're doing good. So how does everyone feel today?
You good?
Good. You got a little spring in your step and ready for a great Sunday? Good. Well, I'm happy to know that that's the case, and that's the case for all of us as well. So there's many new faces here today. So if you're new here today, just raise your hand. We never do that before, but just want to acknowledge all of the new people that are here with us. So, happy to have new faces with you. We're a friendly crew. It might even be a bit raucous today, so know that. My microphone's getting stuck there. So just know that that's the case. We want to say hello to everyone that's watching us online. We've got our live stream up and running. There were some challenges with that this morning, but that's up and it's running, and we're right now working on a technical difficulty of a sound going bzzz in the background. So let's trust that works itself out. So I am Reverend Dr. Keith Cox. I'm the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, here in lovely West Hollywood, California. We love being here. So as you can see, we share space with Congregation Kol Ami. It is the second oldest gay and lesbian Jewish temple in all of Southern California, and we are blessed and love being in this home. We've shared this space now for about a year and a half, and it really, really feels home on every level. So we welcome you coming here this morning. We welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all ethnicities, and all abilities of life. We welcome you because it's our objective and our purpose in this Sunday celebration service and throughout the time that we share together during the week when we do that, to create a safe space for each individual as they walk their pathway of life on their journey of their spiritual awakening. Our vision statement here is to support each individual in finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. What that means is that we have really zero attachment to what your spiritual awakening may look like, what religious orientation that you have, but that you connect to what we believe is the one power of life. It matters not what you call it. We do call it God. We also have been known to call it Betty. We've also been known to call it the thing itself, because it matters not what it's called, but it matters greatly that each and every individual calls it as often as possible to awaken that which exists within you, which is that power itself. And so we center that every Sunday morning and anchor that awakening within each one of us through going through a ritual. The ritual is called Calling in the Light, and it's an opportunity for you to take a deep breath in life. Do you think going through life in today's world requires us to stop and take a deep breath every now and then? Why don't we just take one right now together that we're here? Let's just take a deep breath and get anchored in the room. You can exhale out loud if you want. Feels good to do that, right? You can say yes. Okay, unless you wanted to say no. When I first got into this teaching, there was a lot of metaphysicians that would go, I think that is just, and I would think to myself, that's just the creepiest thing. But the truth is that sometimes that release is really important for us to have it. And certainly in our affirmative prayer, which you'll hear later in our opening, release is one key to that. It's the concept of letting go of that restriction that we feel like we need to have on life itself and letting the power of life do its thing. So calling in the light. It's a ritual that we open our service with every Sunday morning that gives us the opportunity to connect to the qualities of the divine that exist within us. There's music that goes along with us. While I kind of ramble sometimes, but there's a point to all of it. While I'm here, let's welcome our musicians, Donna Oxford. Yeah. So, Andy Belling, our director. Pete Orlansky on bass. And Guy Azule on percussion. So they will guide us through the musical portion and Calling in the Light, and towards the end of that, there's an opportunity for what's called a call and response. And so they will call out and we respond. It's pretty self-explanatory once you see it, but just didn't want to surprise you when that takes place. And then we close that process, part of the service, with an affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. For those of you that are new to the teachings of metaphysics, a spiritual mind treatment is spoken in the affirmative. It's not beseeching to the power without. So just open your mind and your heart and feel that. With no further ado, let's move into the calling of the light. Your practitioner of the day is moi. So I'm going to take us through that. And our illuminator is the one and only Dennis Goodine, who just completed the 10-week practical mysticism class. So we're happy to have you here. So let's begin.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
So today we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one all-abiding presence. It's that which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we each possess as complete expressions of the divine. The first candle that Dennis lights today is lit for the quality of peace. As he does so, let's acknowledge that as we honor our inherent divine state of inner calm, regardless of any seeming chaos unfolding around or within us, peace becomes present. We move to the second candle, which is illuminated for the quality of power. Power is defined in this sense as that which we acknowledge as the energy by which every single thing in life exists. And we move to the third candle, which is for the quality of beauty. Beauty is defined in metaphysical terms as a personal expression by which high spiritual qualities are made manifest. Dennis lights the fourth candle for the quality of joy, which is defined as that state of being that is excited by the expectancy of good and the experience of good in each and every one of our lives. Which moves us to the fifth candle. And Dennis lights that for light, the quality of light. Light in metaphysical terminology is defined as the symbol of divine intelligence. It is that which exists within each and every one of us. As we move to the sixth candle, it's illuminated for the quality of love. Love is defined as the self-givingness of spirit, the desire of life to express itself by giving of itself. Which moves us to the next candle, which is for life. And life is defined as that animating principle of being. It's that inner something that we can feel inside of us at all times that makes every single thing live. Which moves us to the eighth candle, which is for the quality of wisdom. Wisdom is defined in this concept as the concept of unity, which has been known as the mystical secret of the ages, and that indeed is the key to the wisdom being expressed by means of all of us. As we move to the final candle, it's called the healing candle. We ask that you take a moment and think of someone that you'd like to silently put into the light of the healing flame to experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. What's her name?
I am love. I am love. I am peace.
I am peace.
In my heart.
In my heart.
I am free.
I am free.
I am spirit.
I am spirit.
I am soul.
I am soul.
All together,
All together,
we are whole.
we are whole.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
Do, 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 do.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
I invite you to close your eyes. Just feel the energy in the room. Energy that is transformed through this ritual of calling in the light. So we see in our mind's eye the healing flame of the healing candle. I speak my word for all in this room, all that are watching us online, knowing that through this process we have experienced an awakening within us of the qualities of the divine: peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. Take a moment and feel gratitude for the opportunity to know that these exist equally among all of us. There's nothing we have to do to make them be. They just are. And yet we get to experience more and more of that which is within us and how we choose to think and act and react and interact with life itself. And so in this moment, we choose to focus on healing. Not only healing any and everything that is in discordance in our own heart and soul and being, but we send that healing energy out into the world. Lives that are aware or even unaware that there's something within them ready to be healed to a higher vibrational frequency of life itself. We sit in gratitude for those yesterday that walked the pathway of the march of protest, demonstrating their right to invoke change in the world. Saying thank you to these teenagers for speaking their truth in the world, of invoking that change and trusting the law of life will return that back to us as good. We take a moment and bring into our mind's eye any individual that is in distress in their life physically by means of a diagnosis, or have experienced loss or death or hurt. And should we desire right now, we speak their name out loud. I speak the name of Lisa Knight. And so what we know is the law of life responds to that which we place upon it. It's job. It's just simply its job. It matters not. It's impersonal. And so whether we've spoken these names out loud or placed them into the law of life, we trust to know that that healing indeed is taking place. This isn't some hocus pocus or voodoo or crappy religious stuff. It's just the way life works. And so we trust that with a deep sense of faith, that the law of life and the power of the divine is unfailing by nature. And so we use it with wisdom. We use it with intention, and we use it with purpose. We say thank you for the opportunity to be a conscious participant in the co-creative nature of life itself, our life. And so we move about the nature of this service with a deep sense of an awakened mind and an awakened heart, and ready to grow together. And that's what unfolds as we say together. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, music team. And thank you to all of you. And so we've got some wonderful music planned for you. If any of you that are here today is accustomed to going to a traditional church where you hear hymns sung, that is not what you're going to hear today. All right, so there is a moment later in the service that will be spontaneous for you all to sing along. But our guest musician today is a bit boogie-woogie, rock and roll, raucous. I think that covers it for right now. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, sir. And she wrote this song that you're about to hear, especially for you.
So she wrote this song that you're about to hear, especially for me, because the subject matter today is about freedom. So without further ado, I give you Donna Oxford.
Thank you. That's right. Here's how you express your freedom. Do what you want to do and say what you want to say and live how you want to live and play how you want to play. Express your personality. That's freedom. I love who you want to love and dance how you want to dance. Sing how you want to sing. Romance how you want to romance. Express your whimsicality. That's freedom. I said that freedom is another word for knowing who you are. So grab a wish, turn into bliss, and ride that shooting star. Be who you want to be and go where you want to go. See all there is to see and know what you already know. It's you in all totality. That's freedom. That's right. I said now freedom is another word for knowing who you are. So grab a wish, turn into bliss, and ride that shooting star to freedom. I said freedom. I said freedom. I said now freedom. It's you in all totality. That's freedom. I said, it's you in all totality. That's freedom. One more time. I said, it's you in all totality. That's freedom.
Donna Oxford, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. You were getting major thumbs ups and sparkles all on Facebook Live. We're on Facebook Live, everyone. Say hello. Hi. For those of you that want to continue watching the service, you can go to my timeline or my page and get that link and join us. Thank you so much. Donna Oxford and crew. Yes. So we appreciate you. You can sit down. You know I don't like to really share a stage, so you just want to ask, right? You guys, those of you that were here that Sunday, I said to the musicians who were sitting there, I'm like, okay, Nana, you can go. This is Daddy's space. So, thank you. That was beautiful. Rockin', cool. So, hold on, let me get this thing. It's like fixing my wig, right? I have to pull this thing up and fix it. So yesterday, across our nation, March for Our Lives, right? Hundreds of thousands, yeah, right? Anybody march in the room? Did anybody in the room march? All right, so we're going to believe you all did. I didn't either, so there's no emotion around it. It's funny, I was at an event last night, a fantastic event for the LA Gay and Lesbian Center called Simply Divine. It was just truly simply divine, and there were some people that I knew there that walked up to me and they're like, Keith, thank you so much. like, you're so very welcome. What did I do? And they said, you were at the march. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And like several of them were like, you were at the march? And I said, I was not at the march. They're like, well, your Facebook feed had all these posters from the march. I'm like, oh yeah, I posted posters from the march, but I wasn't there. So I didn't mean to mislead you. I wasn't there. I was preparing to give you this message I'm about to give you. So hashtag March for Our Lives. Yesterday across our nation, hundreds of thousands took to the street to demonstrate and protest current gun laws and the horrific mass shootings of our children in our schools and other gun violence. And I'm certain that many of us in the room and those that are watching us online, and we have several watching us online right now, are familiar with the act of demonstration and protest against the status quo. And of course, of expressing our voices, our opinions, and our heightened emotions. Would you guys agree with that? Now, being able to look out into this room and knowing who's online, having just looked at the statistics, I pretty much can sense the broad range of the demographics of who I'm speaking to in this moment. And so what I know for us is that in our history, we've witnessed or participated in this type of demonstration or activity regarding civil rights, women's rights, the Vietnam War, AIDS crisis, gay rights, gay marriage, Black Lives Matters, and others that I'm sure I've missed, right? Any of you guys remember those? Right. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it truly warms my heart and stirs my soul, as you can tell from the tears that are welling up in the back of my eyes, to see this younger generation of today finding their personal... Yeah. I'm okay with this being raucous today, just so you know that. Well, I'm always okay with it being raucous. But I'm touched at the very depth of my soul to see this younger generation find their personal self-empowerment and that they're expressing their voice. Now, many of you know that for the past 17 years, I worked with teenagers, supporting and facilitating them in finding their voice and using it in a way to invoke change, not only in the world, but around the world. And I'm very proud of the work that I've done. And ultimately, what that's been a result of is creating a platform like this for teenagers, oftentimes those that believe they don't have the capability to do what they're doing, to invoke change in the world. Now, at the same time, it also breaks my heart to know that the reason our children are in the streets demonstrating is because they're unsafe in our schools. Breaks my heart, and I'm assuming that it does the same for each one of you. And unfortunately, that takes place because our generation has failed them to provide them safety. We can think about that, we can feel that, we can deny it doesn't matter, but the reality is we have indeed failed them. When all of us went through school, we did not have to question our safety in an environment of learning. Now, I'm not judging any of us in that situation. I invite you not to judge each other. One of the things that we look at in this philosophy is both spiritual truth and facts. And the facts are that we have indeed failed our children. That's it. But what we also know in this philosophy, in this teaching, is that we're not bound by what has taken place prior to the moment that we choose to think anew. It's been said that this new generation, which is incredibly articulate, you guys not agree with that? Incredibly articulate, known as Generation Z, is here. And it's time that we listen to them. It's time that we listen to them. Last night I was talking to some millennials about this, and they were saying to me, you've spent 17 years working with teenagers. Why do you think that this is the case, that they're being so articulate, that they're so passionate, they're so compassionate, and they're really ballsy? That's what they are. And I said, but I think it's two things. One is that, yes, everybody thinks that teenagers today live their lives focused into a technological device in their hands. And that's true. And that certainly has its advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages relative to what's taking place today is that they don't live in a small world. They're connected on a universal level. And so they get to see life from a different perspective. The other is in most environments, specifically like the Parkland School, it's not all environments in our world today, but the world that teenagers live in is so scholastically and academically competitive that they have to work incredibly hard so that they can succeed in that academic world. And what we're getting to witness is the benefit of that, of how they're so well educated from an academic perspective that they can step before a microphone and be highly articulate and speak with great passion. My dear friend Christy Hardwick, who is a minister that runs a program in Provincetown, Massachusetts and beyond, wrote this regarding yesterday's activities. I'm reflecting on the post about yesterday's youth-led marches, rallies, and the launch of a movement. I move between admiration and hope and shame. Admiration of our youth and hope in their clarity and values, and shame that they have to do it for themselves. But then I guess it's like wishing women didn't have to lead the movement for their rights, or blacks didn't have to make the demand for theirs, or immigrants didn't have to speak for their own value. Today I'll land on admiration and hope. We do each need to use our voices and stand up for ourselves. And I can focus on those that join and stand with us. She finishes by saying, go youth. Go youth. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm with her. Go youth. And at the same time, we get to lead by example and learn by the example that's being given to us. As we awaken to our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, through this journey of protesting and marching and invoking change, why do it? The question is, why march? Why protest? Why invoke change? Now, many of you are like me. We come from the school of 20th century metaphysics, which is we learn from that great saying of Napoleon Hill, change your thinking, change your life. You guys familiar with that? I know for myself, when I walked into the Atlanta Church of Religious Science in November of 1982, and I heard a bald-headed man standing at the podium in a beautiful environment say, change your thinking, change your life, as a young 22-year-old gay man who was facing the AIDS crisis, I felt like I had been saved. He didn't save me. The information saved me. A spiritual truth that resonated with me, that gave me the opportunity to see life anew and to realize that I could indeed experience and express the life I desired if I chose to change my thinking. So for all of us today, I invite us to look at this entire process that's taking place in front of us regarding our children and our teenagers and education and gun violence from a new way, and realize that we must change our thinking no matter what it is. We must. And we must not only change our life, but the lives of those that we impact through our thinking. And we have to take it further. We have to take action. In our recent practical mysticism class, we learned that to live from a place of oneness does us no good if we live from that oneness in our heart and our mind and our soul alone. One must rise up from that and step forward. Speaking back to the concept of 20th century metaphysics, for those of you that are familiar with it, in the concept of spiritual mind treatment, which I just did, we talked about knowing that step 1, God is. Step 2, I am. Step 3, declaring what it is that we desire to experience and express in our lives. Step 4 is to have gratitude for the opportunity to do the work that we do and to use the law of life in the way that we do. And step 5 was to release that out to the law. And step 6 was never spoken out loud, but it was what we've heard many times, which is do your spiritual mind treatment. In other words, treat, and then what? Move your feet. In other words, take action, getting engaged in the creation of that you desire to experience. You can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. So in looking at all of what's taking place today, what came up for me mostly about looking at this march and reviewing this concept of what was taking place and why the marching's happening and what's really going on and what was stirring my soul. And what I came to in that process was what was stirring my soul mostly was that we live in a world of freedom. That we're so blessed to live in a world both politically of freedom, in a country of freedom, that no matter how we agree or disagree with regarding leadership, politics, and bureaucracy, that we have the freedom, as do these teenagers and everyone that's marching and everyone that disagrees with them, to rise up and speak. We have that right living in the United States of America. And I don't know about you, but for me, I think that's a fantastic right. I think we're incredibly blessed to have that. And I think with every opportunity, we should celebrate that and engage in it, because there are many people around our world that do not have that right. They certainly have the freedom from a spiritual perspective, but from a personal perspective, there's a great opportunity for them to be persecuted at a very high level for speaking their mind, especially if it contradicts what the norm is. And so I want to talk today about the concept of living from freedom. Both personal freedom, which we all have in this room and as citizens of the country of the United States of America, but to take it to another level and look at what do we have as the rights as a spiritual being and having spiritual freedom. One of the great mentors that I have in my mind, and I wrote my thesis as I moved into ministry on the way that Nelson Mandela took the principles of the teaching of religious science and used them in his life without knowing that they were the principles of the teaching of religious science. And so I oftentimes refer back to Nelson Mandela as a perspective of someone who lived a life of bondage and imprisonment and yet rose out of that to make a huge difference on this planet. And here's what he says in regards to freedom. And I don't know if you guys all know his story. I'm assuming you do. He was imprisoned on Robben Island for 27 years, chopping away at a one rock at a time to make gravel. That was his punishment. That was his job on a daily basis. Imagine that. Imagine doing that for 27 days, much less 27 days on end, that you're handed a chisel, a hammer, if you will, and you beat on a rock, a boulder really, till it becomes a rock, and then that rock becomes gravel. Here's what Nelson Mandela wrote in The Long Walk to Freedom regarding this. Freedom is indivisible. The chains of any one of my people were the chains of all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. What he's speaking to here is that once we become aware that there are chains on any of our people, that anyone of humanity that is being held back and held down, it's the same for all of us. Why is that the case? That is the case because we're interconnected in a way that is beyond both mental comprehension, but is still a spiritual truth. As we teach in this philosophy, and is taught in many religions around the world, that there's only one activity ever taking place, that there's truly only one power. In this teaching, we call it God oftentimes, but as I said earlier, we can call it Betty, or the life itself, or the thing itself. But it doesn't change that the truth is that one thing that gives life exists within each and every one of us. And from the philosophy of metaphysics, that is something that we can use to our advantage, because we both process and experience and express that through the use of our mind. And our mind is the tool, if you will, that we use to then activate and evolve and adapt to and change our consciousness. And we believe in this philosophy that what we experience in life is a result of our consciousness, which is a result of the actions that have taken place in our mind, realizing that our mind is connected to the one mind, and the one mind is also known as that life. Did you guys get that? Yeah. Hallelujah! Good. All right, so we'll move on. So this morning, I invite each of us to take a look, or an inventory, if you will, at how we're showing up to break the chains of enslavement to old ideas, ones that are preventing each of us from conscious evolution in our life to emerge so that our people, the people of life, have a better life. And the only way that that can ever happen is we start with our own mind. Start with our own mind, start with our own life, start with our own actions, our own reactions, and our own interactions with life itself, and to do that with no judgment. To just look at it from a place of assessment and inventory, observation, and change what we need to change by changing our thinking, by changing our life, and then taking action in accordance with that. This is what Dr. Holmes wrote about this concept, the founder of the teaching of the science of mind or religious science, and he presented this in a talk at the Wiltern Theater right down the street on Sunday morning, July 4th, 1937. Is there anybody in the room that wasn't born in 1937? Is anybody in the room that was? Any of you that were there? Well, here's what he wrote. Ever since the dawn of civilization, ever since the first human beings began to grasp the significant fact, this is going to be some heavy reading, so just take a deep breath, cross your legs, have a drink, let's go, all right? Ever since the dawn of civilization, ever since the first humans began to grasp the significant fact that they were individual beings in a universe that seemed to be more or less hostile to them, the entire search of the human mind, its whole endeavor has been to get free from evil, bondage, and the shackles of lack, want, fear, superstition, uncertainty, pain, disease, poverty, and fear of the hereafter. And because of this, human systems exist. Organized philosophies spring up, sciences develop, educational systems are conducted, collective security is sought after, and religions are formulated to allay the fear of humankind relative to the soul. Now remember, this was 1937. The great demand in the world today is for a sense of security, of freedom, and of liberty. But we must be very certain that we do not swap one image of bondage for another. The Pilgrim Fathers, who came to the shores of New England, came to visit God in their own way. But the moment they got there, everybody in the colony worshiped God in a way that the strong-minded members of that colony decided was the way to worship God. Ladies and gentlemen, that was not freedom. True freedom, true liberty, has something cosmic behind it. If the time has come that modern science has proved that we cannot move a piece of paper without changing the balance of the entire physical universe, if we've come to the place where we know that the stuff of which our physical bodies are made is the same stuff of which the planets are made, if we've come to a place where such a profound unity is maintained that physicists believe that there is no such thing as disunity in the physical world, then we can easily see what the great spiritual leaders of the ages meant when they told us that the greater unity in which we all live and move and have our being, and that the idea of freedom itself is tied within the true concept of the unity of good. He goes on to write that if our nature is one, if God is one, and we know that God must be one, for the universe cannot be divided against itself, and then we're all tied into an indivisible unity. What he's telling us there is that for you and I to experience freedom in our lives, that we must focus on the oneness of life itself. To not spend any energy whatsoever thinking that you and I and any other aspect of life is divided or separate from itself, no matter what they look like, what they say, how they act, or what they believe in. That we're all one. That we're all one. And, as I use my favorite Ernest Holmes quote, it's supposed to be that way because my favorite Ernest Holmes quote of all time is, "Spirit has placed a stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you." What that means is this great power that is the creative power in the universe that has brought forth creation, and out of that creation is you and I, is that we're supposed to be different. We're not supposed to be the same. We're supposed to be different. However, because we have the ability to choose what we're thinking in our life and act accordingly, what we also know is that those actions in life are to propagate good, not something that is the opposite of that. He goes on to write and to tell us that as Jesus pointed out 2,000 years ago, well, I'll back up, that we shall all focus on this unity to find the meaning of freedom. Nothing in any part of this cosmic whole could be considered freedom that would destroy the liberty of some other part of it. That would be self-destruction. As Jesus pointed out 2,000 years ago, that would be a kingdom divided against itself. And the kingdom of God is one kingdom. So what we know, that true liberty must be sprung from true unity. What he's telling us here is that for you and I to live a life of freedom, the only way to do that is to focus on the oneness of life. Anything separate from that becomes a union divided against itself. If you and I desire to live the kingdom of God, then the way to do that is to honor the oneness of life at all times. And to know that this evolution of freedom in its expressive form as a human can indeed be a slow process, yet we get to choose with every thought, every belief, every action, every reaction, how we want to move forward. Choice is the key to it all. I share with you a quote that I've shared with you many times from the book The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav regarding choice, and it's this: choice is the engine of our evolution. If you choose unconsciously, you will evolve unconsciously. If you choose consciously, you will evolve consciously. Choosing to evolve consciously is much better than unconsciously, and most often far less painful. He goes on to write, "Trust me, been there, done that." And then he goes on to say, the power of choice is the greatest gift we've been given, second only to the gift of life. Think about that. The power of choice is the second greatest gift that we have in life, second to the gift of life itself. And if we're not alive, we may not even be able to choose. We don't know that yet, because right now all that we know is being alive. I mean, there's some of you in the room that may have gone to the other side and come back, but we'll talk about that another day. And I'm not talking about death, I'm just talking about transcendent work, right? But think about for a second the gift that's really the most important for you in life, because the life already exists that you've been given, is your choice. How are you choosing to show up in life? What are you choosing to be, to do, to act on, to act up with, to say, and to know? Is it contributing to you living a life of freedom, which we've just established must be a life that's focused on the oneness of life itself? Or are your actions in life contradicting the oneness? Can you look at that and assess it without beating yourself up or judging yourself or celebrating yourself? Just look at it and go, here's where I'm at today. And then from that assessment, get okay and get clear with yourself and make some decisions on how you want to move forward, living a happier, freer life. Well, some examples of how to live a great free life from a personal freedom perspective are these, and I wanted to share them with you to give you some tools to navigate life as you leave this time that we share together. One is to worry less. Worry less. The other is to stop focusing on the bad. The next one is to be honest. We all may think, well, that's a given. We know to do that, right? But are you being honest, and not just simply with the outside world, with yourself? Are you being honest with yourself about what life is going on and what it's like for you? Another is to exercise and get out and move your body, to laugh and smile whenever possible, and to spend time in the sun, to spend, and with sunscreen, of course, spend time with friends, and to do something as often as possible and pretend. I loved this when I was sharing this with some people last night, and they were like, duh. And it says, pretend that you've got background music or a soundtrack going on with everything going on in your life at all times. Right? Do you guys have that? The guy I was talking to last night, of course, it was Broadway music. Do something outrageous or spontaneous all the time, and regularly do something that you are passionate about. What we're being told here is to live from this place of freedom requires us to engage consciously that which we choose to do, to be, to act upon, to react upon, to actually to be conscious of what's going on in our life and choose accordingly. That's how we live personal freedom. But for us to get there, we have to be comfortable with our spiritual freedom. And to live our spiritual freedom also requires what we call in this philosophy and teaching spiritual practice. It's opening ourselves up to listen to that power of the divine that speaks to us and through us. And it does that in a multitude of ways. For me, it does it in music, it does it in nature, it does it in song. It does it in listening to words, it does it in seeing the beloved before my eyes. It's knowing that we are indeed all connected, and that I believe it's inherent within all of us to want to experience and express more good at all times. But this morning I want to share with you one of my practices of how I get more and more in tune with the divine in a way that I receive instruction so that my objective and hopefully the experiences of living my life in a more holy, W-H-O-L-L way, meaning a representation of that which is one, holy, H-O-L way. And it's through a song that's written by Ricky Byers Beckwith. You guys familiar with her? And her song is, "Oh, let me live life in a holy, holy way." And the instructions are this: let me love in a holy way. Let me know that love is all around, and let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me live, let me love, let me learn, let me know, let me walk each day a little wiser. Let me love even more. Let me serve in a holy way, and let me share the good that is overflowing so that my steps reveal a path of peace. This morning I have a gift for you that our musicians have brought forth that is a gift from them as well. And I put them on the spot yesterday and asked them to chart this music out so that we could sing it together as an action step to show us that we have the ability to choose to step into our holiness, WHOLENESS, the oneness of life, as we step into our life as a holy being, meaning one that reveres the power of the divine that exists within us. And so this morning, I once again encourage you to leave here realizing that you can not only change your thinking and change your life as we've all done already, but to take an action. And that action step for you today is to stand up, and release your voice and listen to the divine as you sing along with this song. And I've instructed Donna to be as articulate with the lyrics as possible, right? And it's a call and response, and Donna's going to sing the lyric, and Andy's going to sing the response part that you call back. And from that, let's create a vibrational frequency today as if we marched yesterday for gun violence, for anti-gun violence. But the voice that we sing with today changes the energy field that we are, and as a result of that, we align it with the oneness of truth that exists as us, and in so doing, change occurs.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me know that love is all around
Let me know that love is all around.
Oh, let me know that love is all around.
Let me know that love is all around.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me learn from all the ways I fall.
Let me learn from all the ways I fall.
Oh, let me know that love can heal us all.
Let me know that love can heal us all.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me walk each day a little wiser.
Let me walk each day a little wiser.
Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Let me serve in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me share that good is overflowing.
Oh, Lord, let me share that good is overflowing.
Oh, let me share the good is overflowing.
Lord, let me share that good is overflowing.
Oh, let my steps reveal the path of peace.
Oh, let my steps reveal a path of peace.
Oh, and each day let me talk a little kinder.
Oh, let each day let me talk a little wiser.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Thank you. And if you guys want to hear that song more often, you can find it on YouTube. You can put it on a loop like I do and just listen to it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Thank you very much. So now it's time for us to do our conscious giving. And it's a time for you to give your financial good to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles so that we may continue to prosper and bless those in our community in need. So your options for giving are and contributing as a conscious giver. It will be cash, check, envelope, whichever has in the back if you need it, with one of our ushers that are here in the front. Your other options are to give online, and so there's also a credit card machine in the back you can see Edward with, or you can give online. You do that by going to our website, which is csl-la.org, and you'll see the donate button right there in front of you, as well as you can go to our app, which is the CSL LA app in the App Store. Click on that, and there's a donate button there as well. So if you'll take that out, place it close to your heart if you feel compelled to do that. I'm putting my personal device close to my heart because I went through the app this morning. Close your eyes if you feel compelled to do so. Just feel the vibration that's moved through this room today, both of receptivity, the flow of good, even that angst when it was like, oh my God, he's going to make me sing. And then the energy that felt good through that. Let's remember that that's a reflection of the same good that is energy that's known as money. And so today we take that which we're giving and give it with blessings, with trust and with faith that it's used wisely. So please repeat after me. Conscious giving heals all. It awakens and enlivens my awareness. I am one with an abundant universe. So today, on this day when I commit to greater freedom in my life, I give with love and know that I know that it absolutely must return to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Thank you.
'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed to turn. Turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right.
So let's do a second song. Yeah. So let's do a second song. Let's do a second song.
Yeah.
I want to do happy birthday. Okay. All right, so back to the beam, our musicians, Donna, Andy, Pete, and Guy. Enjoy.
In the spirit of the march yesterday, we're going to do a song that's all about togetherness. And my grandmother used to say, we may not have it all together, but when we're together, we have it all. Some people say that you stand in my way. I could be living on a bed of ease. Still others too say I'm no good for you, 'cause you let me do just as I please. Well, dysfunction comes easy, but you know how to please me, so I learned to look the other way. Sometimes life is hard and we're not dealt all the cards, but we won't let that stand in our way. We may not have it all together, and our problems might not seem so small. You know, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all. Now, my family is crazy. Your friends all are lazy, but we learn to love them through and through. Ain't that the truth? Your mother's unsympathetic, she's unapologetic, but I knew that when I said I do. Well, now we're broke, tired, and hungry, and we ain't got no money, and we can't do things the way we should. Our lives may be flawed, but you've got to thank God for the bad things as well as the good. We may not have it all together, and my problems might not seem so small. We may not have it all together, but together we have it all. That's right. I said we may not have it all together, and our problems might not seem so small. You know, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all. Oh, baby, honey, we're broke, tired, and hungry, and we ain't got no money. They can judge us by the things that we have not, but we got more when we're together than we do when we're apart. Oh, baby, I got you, you got me, together we're a family. We may not have it all together. I said we may not have it all together. No, may not have it all together, but together we have. Together we have it all. And that's the truth.
Donna Oxford, Andy Belling, Guy Azule, and Pete Orlansky. Girl. Together we got it all. We do. And speaking of together, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge all of us that are here together today. Thank you for being here. I know that some have come from near and far to be here. We have people that have returned that have been away for a while, that have been out with some illness. It's great to have you back. So Wendy, it's great to have you back. Carol, to have you back there, Mademoiselle. Look who's hiding in the corner over there. All right, so a big thank you to everyone. I know that song I sent you guys, asked you to sing along was a little odd because I didn't give you the lyrics. It was very spontaneous on our part, but thank you for singing along, and the goal was for you to get into the rhythm of it and do it. And they did. And you think, yeah, it worked. Great. Cool. All right, so a big thank you to the practitioner of the day, me. And then our illuminator, Dennis Goodine. Yes. A big thank you to Reverend Edward for getting here and helping us get set up today, as well as Jesus, Erwin, and Bob. Fine music team today. Guy Azule, back. Glad to have you back, Pete. Andy Belling, works hard. And Donna Oxford. Missed all of you last week while you were out running the marathon, so glad we're all back together. Said that already. So some announcements of what's going on. The Wednesday morning guided meditation will continue if you're interested in taking that. The link is on the website, it's on our app, and it's in our weekly e-newsletter that goes out. We are compiling those. We worked on that for hours this week, compiling those in some sense of order where you're going to be able to go on the app and just click on some to listen to. So know that that's in progress. Hopefully that'll be done within the next week. If you're on social media, that's fantastic. If you look on our page on Facebook, it's Center for Spiritual Living in Los Angeles, there's a new promo video for us that's up, so check that out. It's part of the video that was done in here, and then it's interviewing me, and it's a good video. It's like 3 to 4 minutes long, so it's not long. It explains who we are and what we do. So know that exists. Dance class continues on Friday, The Spirit of Dance with Walter Painter at 11:30 at Hollywood Dance Center. Is that what it's called, right? Hollywood Dance Center. Feel free to join that. More information is on our e-newsletter as well. If you're not receiving our e-newsletter and would like to do so, there's some new forms at the welcome table that acknowledges that. And watch on our website for our membership meeting. That will be coming up in April, and we'll have that out to all of you. Is there anything you want to share about outreach, Lenore?
If anybody
Please stand.
If anybody would like to, the next project we're going to be working on is Project Angel Food. And so if anybody wants to come and help us, come see me.
All right, cool. So there's one thing that we have left to do before we close. And it's someone who's been with us for many, many years. His family is here right now to visit. We want to acknowledge Gary Bond's family who's here visiting. But so we're doing that to let you know that Gary's twin brother is here. So I'm outing you as a twin brother, so if you don't mind. But he's here because they both just shared a significant birthday. I'm not going to tell you the number. We'll let them do that. But we want to sing happy birthday to them. So everybody, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday,
Gary,
to
stand.
you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gary and brother. Well, sorry to get your name. Happy birthday to you. We love our Gary Bond. We do, we do. All right, cool. All right, that's it for today. We're going to close with the spiritual mind treatment. There's a song you guys will take us out on. Our board member of the day is Sandy Rovetta. She will be in the back if you have any constructive criticism you'd like to share with her in a lovely, loving, respectful way. There is circular flavored pound cake for you to eat, I know, because I was at Pavilions at 7:52 this morning, and some cookies to eat, and both caffeinated and decaffeinated. Oh, that's right, and Angel, there's a big cake for Angel, because yesterday was Angel's birthday, right? So for those of you that don't know who we're talking about, please, here. This is Angel. Hi, Angel. Angel's our youngest member. I know. I'm going to let that go. I have a whole answer to it, but I'm not going to address it right now. For those of you that know me well, it takes a lot for me to bite my tongue. All right, but I just did. All right, so let's close with the spiritual mind treatment. So as we close today in a sense of laughter, it's reminding us of the joy of life that exists for us. For the joy of life exists within us. And so today is the day that I covenant and commit for each of us, individually and us collectively, that we make a decision to choose to evolve consciously. We make a decision to live life both from a freedom in a personal state and a spiritual place. We choose to follow that guideline that was given to us today to not only honor and celebrate all of life, but to worry less, to engage in spontaneity more, to be with those that we love, to propagate good in our world. And we do that by consciously knowing who we are as a divine being, choosing to live life in a holy, holy way. We let our tongue be used in a way to speak more kindly. We choose to learn with an open mind and an open heart. We choose to live more authentically, reflecting our divinity. And we know that at all times the true only choice is love. And so we take a moment and just breathe in all that's transpired in this beautiful little space of our home today. In a deep sense of gratitude to see the loved ones of our loved ones. To see that healing has indeed taken place for individuals in our community. And to know that because we're awake and alert and alive in our mind and our heart and our soul and our being, we have no other option but to grow again. And so here we grow again as we let it be by saying together. And so it is. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic Sunday. Look forward to seeing you the next time I see you.